Good morning, YouTube. It's Captain Abs here with you once again. It's been a while since I've done too many videos. I just released the video of Innsbruck you may have seen, but I haven't done a whole lot left lately, but I thought I would put together a video for something that just sort of fell into my lap here. So as you can tell from the title of the video, I've got a new toy at my disposal, which I'm just going to test out. Basically, I've tried it out, installed it just to make sure it worked, played with it a little bit just to make sure it worked, but really I have not taken it and used it in the flight simulation environment, and it's a tool that that could be game-changing for the flight simulation environment. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is yet. I'm going to see if you guys can figure it out, but here we are in my Piper Cherokee, and we are in beautiful San Diego over here. So you can see San Diego's downtown over there. You can see some other airplanes sitting here. So this is Orbx San Diego. This is not the toy that I was talking about, but this is a new toy I got myself, and it is quite a nice piece of scenery. I've done a couple of flights with it, and it looks really good. There's a really good rendition of a large portion of San Diego there. So we're going to go ahead and go flying in San Diego. I'm not too familiar with San Diego, to be honest. Not too familiar with the West Coast at all. So bear with me if I violate some airspace, do anything else wrong. Yeah, I thought I would do this quick flight. Let's just check the weather in San Diego here through the VATSIM network. It's overcast 1,000 feet, which is not great for VFR flying. Windcom 2994, although I think I might have historical weather up from yesterday, so let's see what the conditions are right now. 2996 on the meter, so let's just make sure we've got that set. 2996, which is 1015, which is correct. Great. So we can zoom in quite nicely here. We're going to tune in Unicom and make sure our radio is on. There we go. Oop, that was on. And we're going to put our transponder onto 1200. Because we're just doing a simple little VFR flight today, nothing terribly crazy. I'm not even going to worry too much about the VORs and everything. I've just got a map up over here. I had a map up over here. I seem to have lost it, but just a little map of the San Diego area. We are doing this flight online, however, there's no controllers today, so we're just going to do it on Unicom and hope that we don't run into too many people here. And we probably will violate some military airspace in and about San Diego, mostly because I just want to just do some flying. So let's just do a quick checklist here and make sure that we're all good to go. Alright, so we did the engine start. We're just going to actually just pause it quickly to make sure my controls are set up correctly to stand by. Okay, there we go. That should be good. The controls should be set now. So we're just going to do a quick little run-up, and we're going to head to the runway. So we're just going to make sure that that is all the way. And we got lights on. Let's see here, we don't need... What do we not need? Don't need the landing light while we're taxiing around, and we don't need the anti-collision light while we're taxiing around, just the red beacon while we're taxiing around. And let's just make sure that the parking brake is off. And we're just going to go ahead and taxi out to the runway. And I'll be honest, I don't even know where the runway is here. Totally unfamiliar with this airport, to be honest, so I should have a chart with me. I'm being a very bad pilot by not having a chart today. I know there's only one runway. The airport's not very large, so it can't be very hard to figure out where the runway is. We're at Landmark Aviation, and the winds were calm, so we're going to taxi out for departure out over the ocean. So the ocean is that way, so we'll go ahead and taxi down to the threshold over here. And for those of you that could not guess yet what my software is that I've got going on here, what's going on here, my new toy that I've got, and it's kind of glitchy here a little bit, this is the first time it's been a little glitchy, is Track IR. So I had a friend who sent me a message the other day and just said he had a package to send to me. And completely unanticipated, unexpected. Gratefully appreciated, though. I just he had no use for it anymore. He said, "I know you'll get great use out of it, and I have a feeling he's right. I will probably get very good use out of this because this is just a game changer in terms of just controlling how you look around the sim, and no more hat switch, no more joystick trying to look around with a joystick or anything. Nothing like that. So it's just you can look out the windows, you can see, and I've read some interesting things about it online, even just in the last little while. And one of the things that people said the most about it was that they are not. Now, I don't know why it keeps doing that. It keeps on losing track of my headset, so I may have to play with the settings a bit. Yeah, I may have to play with the settings a bit. Alright, so let's go down here. Let's set the parking brake. And let's just give it 1 second. I'm just going to change the settings, so just bear with me. Okay, so I tried to tweak a few things. So there is a settings utility that comes with Track Hire that lets you change some things, lets you change the curves of how things are done, and also lets you change light levels. So if the light level in your room is too bright or too dim, it can change the sensitivity of things. So one thing, of course, that I've got to get used to is that anytime I move my head to do anything, even to look at the other screen, it immediately turns the whole view, and you end up looking at the back of the airplane a lot. So it's an interesting device. Definitely going to take a little bit of getting used to. So I'm going to do this quick before takeoff checklist, and then we're going to get up in the air, and we'll just keep looking around as we do it. So before takeoff checklist, mixture's rich, prop control is full increase, and throttle to 2,000 RPM. Oop, too far. It certainly does make it easier to look around the flight deck, and especially I don't have to make the control column disappear anymore. Only trouble is every time I look down to look at my checklist, you don't see the checklist in front of me in the front of the computer, but you see my head moving anyways. Alright, so prop exercise, so we should see a drop of about 300 RPM. 3 times usually is good. And that just circulates all that cold oil out of the prop hub. Make sure that warm engine oil is going into that prop hub. And also, of course, checks the functioning of the propeller governor. Alright, props are exercised. Mag check. Let's see here if I can see my mags. Hey, look there, I can even see them. Should see a slight drop with each one. Beauty. Vacuum gauge. Looks good. 4.6 to 5.1. Oil temperature and pressure check. Oil temperature is right there in the green. Oil pressure is in the green. Annunciator panel. I can never seem to get this to work in this airplane. I'm not sure why. Oh, there we go. Just had to double click it. For some reason, I had to double click it. Never realized that. Good. Alternator check. So come over here, flick the alternator off. We should get the alternator warning, and we should see the battery amps are 0. Or the alternator amps are 0, I should say. Alternator load, alternator light out. Good, alternator is checked. Alternate air. Should see a slight drop potentially in RPM, but otherwise it should continue to function when this is open. Good, it does appear to function. And throttle RPM back to idle. 1,000 RPM or less. And flight control is free and clear, so let's look out the window. Can I see the elevators from here? If I... Oh my gosh, I can see the elevators from here. I'm kind of sticking my head out the window, but even with my head in the flight deck fully, I can still see the elevators moving. Ha! That is awesome. And that alone might be worth the price of admission, gentlemen. The rudder is the one thing I can't see. I just have to do it by feel. Feels good anyways. Alright. And that's it. Radios are set 22.8 we got for Unicom. I saw an aircraft trying to land here on VADSPY, so I'm just going to double check and see. I'm going to take off on runway 27. Stand by. Let's do this. Oh, voice Unicom will be amazing when it happens. Alright, and so we're back. As we enter the runway, we put on the anti-collision light, and of course, we look both ways. That is really neat, and it takes so little effort because you can pan so much faster than you would otherwise be able to. I don't see anybody. There is one guy inbound. He's kind of off to the west, so I'm not sure if he's setting up for landing or if he's just on the star. Whatever, we're going to be pretty darn quick to get out of here. Alright, and here we go. Airspeed's alive. Keep it centered on the runway. Come on. Not your first time driving a piston-driven aircraft. There we go, and we're airborne. Definitely positive rate. Gear up. Didn't put out any flaps for that takeoff, but that's okay. We seem to have gotten off the ground just fine anyways. I'm really not trying to do like the most realistic flight in the world. I am really here to play with this track IR and see what it looks like. And that's just so neat because you can turn quickly, but you can also bring yourself back to center so quickly. You can check out the instruments really quickly. Wow, the 6 degrees of freedom is just amazing and astonishing. Alright, here comes 1,000 feet. Oh, and we're into the ceiling. Oh, not good. Spiral of death coming up. Okay, so I guess we're going to do a VFR flight at 800 feet maybe. Let's get that prop back. There it is. 800 feet will keep us under the ceiling. And the second I release my pressure, started climbing again without even trying. I gotta trim this thing down a little bit here. Not the best flag in the world. Not at all. There we go. Stay out from under the ceiling. The other thing, of course, you'll probably notice about this video more than any other one, boy, it is jumpy. Track IR can be sensitive. You know what? We're gonna do a right turn out. I'd like to go up the coast a little bit and then we'll circle back. Track IR can be sensitive. I will not deny that. Every little motion I take, every time I glance at the other screen to look at my chart or my checklist or anything like that, even if I don't move my eyeballs, if I actually move my head to look at anything, then all of a sudden you see that I've moved my head. Very disconcerting in a way. I think this is SeaWorld over here somewhere. I think SeaWorld is up. I don't know exactly where SeaWorld. I don't know. I've been to San Diego years and years ago. I remember some basic things about the way it's laid out. That might be SeaWorld there. But wow. Oh, holy moly. This is game-changing in how you fly the airplane, just because you can control your view without taking your hands off any of the controls that you like to use. My hand's still on, one hand's still on the throttle, one hand's on the control column. I'm full control of my aircraft, and yet I probably should lean this mixture just a little bit here. And yet I'm able to fully look around, look out the window. The other thing about it is that faster than even a joystick can do it, you can bring your view back to center so quickly. So it is a little touchy. There is a learning curve, I think, involved with this, in learning how to turn your head to make the most effective use of the track IR and how sensitive it is. And you can adjust the sensitivity in all the 6 axes. So there's 6 degrees of freedom that you can use track IR in. There is, of course, yaw, pitch, and roll. Wow, that's disconcerting. Wow, that was horrible. But you can turn your head that way if you so choose. That was horribly disconcerting. I gotta get up to the ceiling again here, 700, 800 feet. Because I'm playing around. But you got those. So those are the first 3 degrees of freedom, are the three rotational modes. But then you can also move your head in 6 directions. So you can zoom in and zoom out. By leaning forwards and backwards, you can move your head side to side, as you saw when I looked out and saw the flight controls, and you can move your head up, whoa, and down. Might be a little extreme there. That was a bit of an extreme case. I know, I shouldn't be flying this close to the train. We're just here to have fun. Yeah, it's so neat in the way it works. It's very sensitive though. I might turn the sensitivity down a little bit, but the trouble is when you turn the sensitivity down, then you can't do quick movements. The more you turn the sensitivity down, the longer it takes to react to these movements. The other thing is you have to stop moving your head so much. I guess I move my head a lot when I am just flying around, just looking at things, just glancing at the screen, and I don't move my eyeballs, I move my head. But if you want to use this and use it effectively, you've got to train yourself, not necessarily quickly, but to move your... You've got to train yourself to move your eyeballs when you just want to look around the screen, and only move your head when you want to turn the screen. That's going to take a little bit of getting used to, I think. In fact, I'm sure that's going to take a little bit of getting used to. But, wow. Just an incredible tool. It's not VR by any means. I don't think anyone says it is. It's definitely not like a replacement for VR, but definitely sort of as a first step, definitely more entry-level in price than VR. Retails, I think the retail price is like 230 US or something like that, US dollars. Something in that neighborhood anyways, whereas a VR set will set you back the better part of $1,000. Definitely a little bit more affordable. Perhaps a little bit twitchy. I'm enjoying it. I've already used it a little bit in a different game just to try it out, just to make sure it works, so I've kind of gotten used to sort of turning my head in very set intervals, but sometimes you'll do a quick turn and you'll turn a lot more than you mean to. And that's that, I think, more than anything, you train yourself to use this. Like anything else, like any other input device, I think you train yourself to use this. So, but a very intriguing invention, anyways. So, to the person, oh, and back into the cloud deck again. See, climbing. See the altimeter there, climbing slightly. There we go. All right, not too far down, just 800 feet is all we need. Level off between 700 and 800. So, I want to say thank you to the person who sent this to me. Completely unexpected. It was so completely unexpected. Just said he had something to send me and wouldn't tell me anything else. And the next day I opened up the box and it was I didn't even realize what it was for about 30 seconds or so until I saw the logo on it, and then suddenly it clicked into me exactly what it was, and he's right. He sent it to me. He said he has no use for it. He got a VR headset and he doesn't have any use for it anymore. He thinks I will get good use of it. He's probably right. I will probably make some very good use of this. I don't know if I'm going to use it in a lot of my videos, and the only reason is because I find it very jittery, and maybe with a little bit of practice and training I will be able to better use it. Just crossing through the approach path, I want to make sure that this guy that is circling around is not there. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it in the videos. Chase Plane is a really great tool too, I gotta say. Chase Plane is really good. It does a lot of what I've needed to do in terms of just being able to look around and see different things from different perspectives, and I've gotten very used to using Chase Plane. It's another tool like this one, and I've gotten very used to Chase Plane. I like it, and I probably will continue to use it for some time. Possibly, we'll see how it goes. If I can sort of master this. This is really honestly my first flight using this thing, so I think I'm not doing half bad. But it definitely needs practice. I definitely will need to train myself to use this, train myself to look around. There's also a couple of useful tools that come with Track IR when you have the utility running. The first of them being the pause key. So if I just hit pause there, Track IR is now paused. I am turning my head, and as you see, the view is not changing. So it recenters the view. It takes all the Track IR inputs out. So you can look around. So if I remember to use this key, I can look around. I can look at my charts. I can look at my checklist, and you're not aware that my head is moving until I unpause it. The other thing you have to do as well is occasionally is recenter the view. So perhaps you find you're sitting slightly to one side, you've leaned in the chair, you've moved your chair slightly, you can there's a recenter button, and it recenters, it recreates an origin, a 0, 0 point for you. There's some nice scenery down here. So those are two very useful tools. Depending, if you move your chair, I have a rolly chair. It doesn't sit in the same spot every time. So if I move it slightly different place in front of the monitor, that can cause a problem for track hire, and that I will then sit slightly offset in the flight deck or wherever, and I have to recenter it. So, but wow, all I can say to my friend there is thank you so much. This will be a game changer for how I definitely fly. When I'm not recording, when I'm definitely doing it for fun, this will definitely change how I fly. But even with a little bit of practice, I may start making some videos using the track IR, maybe in limited capacities, but it really is a fantastic looking tool. We're just going to come around the end of this point here. It's just so nice to be able to adjust your view even slightly without having a crazy offset. And the other thing is being able to return it to center. I still do have a button on my gamepad that I use in association with my control column, but I have also a gamepad hooked up, and I have one button in the chase plane that just centers me back to the captain view all the time. No, don't disappear. And I press that button all the time to get back to center, and I'm very used to that. And the one thing I found is that this is going to take some getting used to. I'm going to have to train myself on how to use it, how to sit still. Because if I fidget a little bit, even just a little bit, you tend to see it. You tend to see the fidgeting. So I hope this video turns out okay, guys. I hope that I hope that you can see it. I hope that it's not too jittery. I hope it doesn't make you motion sick. Me turning my head a little bit, I know what I'm doing. I have a little bit of control. I feel like it's going to be very jittery until I get used to the idea of not moving my head, of letting myself just fly the airplane, but use my eyeballs. Don't use your head to turn, use your eyeballs to look around the screen. I don't do that very much. I tend to turn my head more. I don't know. Uses more muscles. Maybe that's why I'm in such good shape. Not really true, but yeah. Wow. Just wow. This is just so impressive. Such a different way to take in information, and doing the checklist in this airplane was fantastically easy without having to use chase plane to switch to different views. What's that? You need to see the manifold pressure and the a little too far, but takes a little getting used to. There's the prop RPM, there's the manifold pressure, or I can come down here and see the mags as well. I can check the gear lights. All these things you can do as you're playing with this. So wow, just what an impressive tool. I will definitely get some use out of this. So thank you very much for this. It was completely unexpected. Your generosity knows no bounds, sir, and I am very grateful. I promise I will make very good use of this and make it worth your while for having sent it to me. And thank you. So let's see if we can bring this in for a landing without hitting into the tall buildings in downtown San Diego here. There's the stadium. I don't even know. I don't know sports teams very well. I don't even know who plays in San Diego, but there's the stadium. Up here ahead is the zoo somewhere. See, this is all Orbx scenery here. This is Orbx is when they did San Diego, they didn't just do the airport. They did a whole photo reel. They adjusted the autogen, so all the autogen is lined up nicely on city streets. It looks really good here. They did a really good job. You could navigate. I have the chart out, but you could navigate just with the chart with the amount of detail that they've put into this. So we're going to start bringing this thing back, slowing it down, because we're turning final in San Diego here. Try not to hit the hilltop that is west of the field. Pitch up to lose the speed. Where did that airport go? There it is. That's not bad. Alright, we just got to get the speed back a little bit more. Now we can get the flaps out. I know we're high. We're just trying to get the flaps out. And the gear down. That'll help slow us down and drag us down. And that should put us back on slope with the pappies momentarily. Alright, we got 3 green hopefully. Yeah, got 3 green lights down there. I got 2 notches the flaps now. Now I feel like I'm losing altitude too quickly here, but we're getting there. Still showing white over white, but it feels like we're really close to the terrain. There is some hills just on the east side of the field here. Really feels like I'm just on them. Moving the headset does not move the airplane into position, but did you see me try and lean over to get the airplane onto the runway? There's a substantial displaced threshold on this runway, so I'm okay with the all reds. My squeaky control wheel that needs a little help. There we go. And try and get that back onto the runway center line, more or less. And we're going to try and taxi back to the landmark. But that's it. That was my quick and dirty, just a demonstration of me trying out this toy for the first time, and I am just so impressed. If I sit up a little taller, I can see the taxi line better. I am so impressed with this. It's simple. It's not a simple piece of technology, but it's such a simple tool. It just does one thing, but boy, it can change the way you operate, that's for sure. It's going to take me some time to get used to this, that's for sure. There is definitely a learning curve involved here. See if I can find the landmark again that I was at. I'm pretty sure it was down here. Those gray hangers over there, probably the landmark. Anyways, you guys probably don't want to watch me taxi all the way in there, but let's get across this line here. Let's just do some things. Let's put the flaps up. One other thing that I noticed that is very challenging about this is keeping your head still enough that you can press buttons. Some of the bigger buttons are okay, but when you get to some of the smaller buttons... Are we moving? Yes, we're moving. When it gets to some of the smaller buttons, it can be very hard because by the time you try to click, you move your head even slightly and your mouse is off the button. So I think in certain cases pausing and using Chase Plane's preset views might be more useful than looking around the flight deck. But this certainly adds a very natural tone to the flight deck. You can look around. I don't have an overhead panel in this airplane, but you can look around and you can do you can look around and you can do the checklist in the flight deck the way a person really would. So you can actually go down and you can check the position of switches. You can see the autopilot switches. You can see the oil pressure and oil temperature gauges. This would certainly make using the FMS a lot easier too. You could do a nice zoom in over the FMS and do a heads down, but then you have to hold yourself in that position for that length of time. And that's I think where the challenge might come in. That's why I don't think the pop-ups are going to die anytime soon, because they just put it in a more natural position. But anyways, that was my first experience with Track IR, and I have to say, wow, it is... I'm getting a little tired here because I think because I'm moving my head around, but it was just fantastic. Definitely a tool I'm going to get a lot of use out of. Now, for some reason over here, it's funny because that happened the same thing when I was taxiing out. All these little rolls, these sudden rolls. I wonder if I need to adjust the light settings on this. Anyways, I will play with this. This is not something that, by any means, I don't have the final settings. Downtown San Diego. Here's the landmark where I started. I definitely don't have the final settings. I definitely will have to tweak a few things here. There's no doubt about that, but is this a worthwhile investment for $200-something? I guess is the end of the line, the question. It depends on how realistic you want to be and how much flight simming you do. If you're a very casual, very occasional flight simmer that doesn't spend a whole lot of time flight simming, this may be overkill for you. I'll be honest. It's not cheap by any means. But if you're the kind of person who is willing to spend, $400 or $500 on a premium yoke, more than that in a lot of cases, $400 or $500 on some premium rudder pedals, that sort of thing, you're not just buying the cheapest of the cheap, and you're definitely simming on a probably a couple times a week basis, I'd say this is a pretty reasonable investment. I would say probably rudder pedals probably would have been my first choice. I still don't have rudder pedals. I will get some someday. I have to say that they're something that I would like to have, and I think they would also very much aid in the realism of my simulation here. But for $220 or something, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's around there anyways. I've looked at it. Maybe it's $179. I don't know. Maybe that's the Canadian price I'm thinking. It's a reasonable investment. it has its drawbacks. I haven't used this in an airliner. The one thing I've read multiple times is that the GA aircraft are the best for using this. You can even use it in the external views here too, which is kind of nice. So you can look around in your external view. For people who, there seem to be three camps of people: people who don't like Track IR, who stopped using it, people who use it only for GA, and people who use it for GA and airliners. And the reason being that the GA aircraft, you do tend to spend more time looking around and looking outside, which is where this comes in. On the airliners, where you tend to have a few specific panels you tend to look at, this may not be as useful. I haven't used it yet in an airliner. I may try that in another video in the near future. So we'll see if it's worth it. But definitely, if you like to simulate GA airplanes, this could be a very useful tool. I think it's a little bit steep, but it might well be worth the price. So, anyways, I'm gonna kill the mixture, and thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I really have enjoyed this. I think this is going to be a great tool, something that I'm going to get a lot of use out of if I can just learn to control my head movements, not make it as twitchy. But I definitely think that I will get some good use out of it. So in the meantime, thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, watching the channel. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate all your views. More videos are underway. I am trying to put them together. I have been had a lot of things on my plate lately. I'm trying to take some things off my plate so I can get back to making some videos that you guys enjoy. So thank you very much, guys. I hope to see you all again soon.